Hello, my beautiful cuddlebugs. Welcome to Ramblings of a Book Dragon, where we dive into the warmth of good books and unravel stories that feel like a literary hug. I'm Allie, your host, and I'm thrilled to embark on another cozy adventure with you. So grab a cup of your favorite beverage, snuggle into your cozy reading nook, and let's begin. But before we do, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe so that you will not miss a single episode. I really value your feedback and recommendations. Now let's begin. Today, I am going to be giving a review of Workhorse, a novel, and it was written by Caroline Palmer and performed by Helen Lasser. And this book, it's definitely one of those, we support women's rights, but we also definitely support women's wrongs. And I'm a little conflicted as always, because I liked it, but I kept on waiting for the shoe to drop. I kept on waiting for the big reveal of, okay, she got caught. I kept on waiting for the wrongs to catch up with her. And there's only one real moment where she's actually called out for it, but she never really understands. Like, she keeps on thinking, if I lie about this, then they will believe me and it'll be fine. If I can lie my way through it, it'll be fine. And her big issue, the big thing that she does throughout the book, she's never caught for. And I thought we were going to get some hint. I thought there were some hints throughout the book that maybe someone knew someone was going to say something was going to happen. But then it never does. There are no consequences for these actions. And it's like, okay. I mean, we support women's wrongs and we support completely delusional batshit women where they are completely just cuckoo bird. Well, not a cuckoo bird, but just the levels of delusion that are happening inside this woman's noggin. It's baffling. And there are times when you can see that it's just, we're so close. We're just so close to her really getting it. But then it never happens. It just astounds me. So we follow, now that I've gotten your attention, we follow a young woman named Chloe Harmon, and it starts in 2001, right after 9/11. She's working at this prestigious New York fashion magazine, and she is what is considered a workhorse from a modest Irish Catholic background. And this is a whole thing throughout the book where there are the show horses, the women that are from wealthy pedigree backgrounds, the pedigree horses, the show horses. And she is trying to get herself to be seen as one of the show horses, even though everyone knows that she is a workhorse, and she's desperately trying to fit in to these wealthy, Ivy League educated women who effortlessly belong. And it's very much giving Devil Wears Prada, except she actually wants to be there, and she's not like Andy and thinking at the beginning where it's all, oh, who cares about this? Like, she had already wanted to work at this magazine, and this is how it's all coming together. And she winds up becoming cubicle mates with this young woman named Davis Lawrence, who is a beautiful, privileged coworker and daughter of former actress Barbara Lawrence. And she's always been jealous of just how effortlessly chic and cool Davis Lawrence is. And she's like, I want her to be my friend, because Davis Lawrence was originally showing her around, showing her the ropes, teaching her the ways of the magazine, helping her realize, like, you can't do these things, you can't wear these items, you can't act in this way. And that was the whole thing with the magazine, is like, if you want to fit in, if you want to make it, you have to fit in. You have to at least appear to be like all the rest. And so she just continues to ingratiate herself and enmesh herself in this family. And there is even a whole situation like where she actually and this is the thing, like, she lies, she effortlessly lies, and then she even winds up, she sees that Davis Lawrence has this credit card and they're going shopping, because she's like, you need to buy this dress, because you need to buy this coat. It is a very expensive coat. And she's like, even with the whole credit card thing, And even with the discount of working at the magazine, it is still too expensive for her. But she winds up taking the credit card because it belongs to her mom, Davis Lawrence's mom. And she's like, oh, just put it on the credit card. Like my mom, I mean, she's not saying to her to put it on the credit card, but she's like, oh, I just pay with the credit card all the time. And it's my mom's card and takes care of it, Barbara Lawrence's credit card. And she just takes the card and then she winds up using it to buy the coat. And slowly but surely, she winds up racking up this debt. And then this is the thing, like she's justifying it to herself because she's keeping a running tab of how much she owes Barbara Lawrence and she's going to pay her back. And it just continues to happen where so long as it's under this threshold, everything is fine. It's all good. She winds up doing these things. She winds up ingratiating herself with the family. She even goes to this party at one point, and she steals this horse because she's like, oh, this is fine. This is cool. I'll just steal a horse and it's fine. It's no big deal. Turns out it's basically the crime of the century because it's a very, very, very expensive horse statue. And so my thinking was like, oh, she's actually going to have to, like, she's going to return it. She's going to get caught. Something is going to happen. But like, major spoilers, because this is like, I just finished the book and it's just like, okay, like I kept on waiting for someone to call her out, and like one person sort of does throughout the book, but he had the thing that he knew he could use against her, but he never does. Like it's so weird. Like there's just things that are just so weird, but then there's the things are continuing. Like it's more of like little snippets of time throughout the book. Like we get the first section, which is 2001 to 2000, what was it, like 2003, something like that. Like it's snippets of time, and we're seeing these different situations, and she's always comparing herself to Davis Lawrence, and she's always jealous of Davis Lawrence. And then there is winds up being an opportunity where she can actually live with Davis Lawrence and her mother after she gets kicked out of her apartment. Like she loses her apartment because the owner passes away, and the woman who now is the widow, she winds up deciding to sell the place, and because of that, they're all going to be kicked out, which is just like, oh, that sucks. And they're talking about the housing crisis, renting crisis in New York. It's just so much fun going on. But then she realizes, oh, I don't actually have to. She gets herself into the Lawrence apartment, which is like very fancy, very bougie, very chic. And then she never leaves. Like she's like, oh, it'll just be a few weeks. But there's never actually any sort of, it was kind of reminding me of, I don't know if you saw the Netflix special about Anna Delvey, but it was reminding me of that, except for the fact that our person, Chloe, isn't actually scamming people out of money. Like she's just taking it and she's just using it for all these different little purchases, and it's like, oh, it's fine, I'll just pay her back, it's fine. It's like there's just a couple of degrees of separation between the truth and what she's telling herself, and there's only one real moment where she actually faces any real consequences, and this is after her best friend gets married and they have a baby. And they wind up, she's actually asked, like, hey, this is your goddaughter. Would you like to come? And my babysitter is no longer available. Would you like to come babysit? And she does. And we're starting to see Chloe at this point. Like she's living in the apartment and she enmeshes herself in there. And she's just increasingly more and more jealous of this young man named Harry Wood, who is Davis Lawrence's best friend. And he reveals that he was in the foster system. He was basically taken in by the family. It just becomes more and more complicated. But then she feels like it's very possessive thinking. And it's like, this is like, I kept on waiting for someone to truly call her out for this, but there was this point, like at this scene where she sees Harry Wood at a party, and she doesn't see who he's standing with, but he's like in a suit, and she sees that the woman is having a red manicure, and she goes into, like, she's already a little drunk, but she goes into this like manic state of, if they knew, I would rage at them, and just all of this stuff. It's like, girl, it's almost like there's some sort of stuff like just under the surface of she loves Davis Lawrence, but is also her best friend. But she's possessive and she doesn't want Harry Wood encroaching on her territory. And that was the whole reason why she wound up staying in the apartment, was to keep Harry Wood out of her territory. And it's just like and no one else seems to realize just how deep this enmeshment actually goes, and she's never caught for this, like, because she has a moment of full-blown stalking. Like, she goes and she leaves the baby, like, this is like a 5-month-old baby, and she leaves the baby with one of the kids that lives in the apartment building, and it turns out the kid is 7, but she paid the little girl like $20 to babysit. And it's like, but then she leaves and she's trying to find Davis Lawrence and Harry Wood because she's sure that they're at this one bar, and she doesn't see them. She actually winds up getting hurt, and then she comes back and her best friend just kicks her, like goes into an absolute rage, as well she should, because she just left the baby. It's like, it's not that serious. Like, it's just, it's like it's like she sort of realizes how messy this is. Like, she just has so many illusions of grandeur, because there's this whole thing where she knows that she's a little fat, but then she also is like, oh, men see me, they like me. And I mean, not that this is delusions of grandeur or anything like that, but it's just interesting. Like, she sees herself in this way, like, as lesser than, but then she's also like, oh, men want me. And if I know how to play the game, and it's fine because we all get what we want. And like, sex is the thing that she's wanting, and it's mutually beneficial for everyone, and to always push. Like, I kind of thought I kind of thought that was kind of the direction we were going to go in when she was younger at the beginning of the book, because she was talking about using sex to get what she wanted, moving up in that way. But it never really seems to, like, it. Okay, but then the walls start to crack when she realizes just how bad the situation is at home with Barbara and Davis, and like just how enmeshed the two of them are. And she just, at the end of the book, she just decides to leave. Like, there is no big, hey, get out, Kate. There is no big kick out. There is no low moment. There is nothing. Like, she just gets everything that she wants, and she even takes Harry Wood down for a thing that he didn't even do, and no one ever finds the damn horse, but she uses the horse to implicate him, and then she leaves the credit card. It's like, okay, this is just weird. It's just a lot of mess, and I found the mess to be very entertaining, and I was sad because I was wondering about the direction, because it felt like I was watching a train wreck throughout the entire book. But I was also trying to figure out, where is the learning opportunity for her, because it seems like she never really grew as a character, and that is probably the thing, is that she never really learned. She never really understood what was wrong. Like, she knew, she explained things to herself, but any big call out, like even when she basically lost her best friend, she was blaming her friend. She was blaming the husband. She was blaming the situation. She was never really she was never really introspective about how bad this was. Like, she had a moment of thinking about it, but there was never really, we never see her best friend again. We never see Allie again. And so she's just like moving along. It was like, okay, like, this sucks, but like, okay, live your life. Like, it was just like, some of the book, just, I don't know how much of it was truly messy, but like, okay, it just felt like we could have gone in some other directions. And I realized, like, we don't need the whole woman sleeping her way to the top thing. And like, she starts off as an assistant, both her and Davis Lawrence. They're both assistants. And she finally admits to one of the big wigs at the firm that she wants to become editor-in-chief, and like she's slowly moving her way up throughout the company and throughout the magazine, and especially now that we're getting into this is after the .com, but we're getting into more magazines are being online, and because her mentor left, she was moved into this position. So it's like she never kind of realized just her own privilege. I mean, she sort of had this idea of what a workhorse could be, that it's like not fully the creme de la creme of society, but close enough that she is able to make it sort of work. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting book, and it was a fun book. It just was like, what kind of craziness are we going to do in this book? How far are we going? Like, I wasn't sure if it was going to be like a crawling into the skin and wearing the skin type of situation. But the ending was also kind of just lackluster, because she just left. She just moved on with her life. And it's just like, okay, but what are we actually learning here? What are we actually doing here as a character? What are we doing here with character development? Why aren't we actually doing more to grow and teach this character a few things? Because it didn't seem like she ever actually learned anything. But those are my little thoughts on this book. I did like it. I gave it 4 stars. I'm curious to see what else this author writes, because I am interested. I found it. I do think this is a good book to read, because it is messy. It's messy. It's a messy book, but it's a good kind of messy. It's entertaining messy. But there are things that I wish that we had a bit more introspective on. Like, I wish like we had a bit more of a final situation. Like, I kept on waiting, and nope, like, okay, this is what's happening. It was all more around our character and not to our character. But that's it for now, my beautiful cuddlebugs. I will catch you next time. If there's any book recommendations that you would like for me to read, please let me know, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye.